everybody, let us pray. Can I have Miss Arajin Mahinay to lead the prayer?
Okay. Let's bow down our head and feel the presence of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sins against us. Do not bring us to the test, but deliver us from evil. In the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, so good afternoon, good morning class. Good morning class. How are you today?
Great, Mom. You're fine, Mom.
Okay, so how about Mr. Elimer? How are you, Mr. Elimer?
I'm fine, Mom. Good morning.
Okay, very good. So before we start our fun lesson, please, I want you to settle down. So I will give you or spare you 2 minutes to settle down. So I guess our 2 minutes of settling is done. So let us have an attendance first. So I will call each name and you will say present. So may I first call Miss Mahinay,
Present, Mom.
Miss Hesta,
Present, Mom.
Mr. Bukalon,
Present, Mom.
and Mr. Urqueza.
Present, Mom.
Okay, very good. So I guess we don't have any absent today, and that is a great thing. Again, I want you to remember that we have our existing rules class. So if in traditional classes, cell phones are not allowed, right? So but in online classes, cell phones are allowed since that will be our medium. But there should be no viewing of Facebook, YouTube, and then apart from that, we must all listen thoroughly to the lesson and no eating. So first, let me introduce to you myself. I am Julian Kanashiro, your teacher or your demonstrator for today. And this morning, we will have our new topic. But before that, we will have our game first. So before we could proceed to our new topic, so this game is called Pick Me Story. So here we will identify the different children's literature. So I have here an activity. So I will give you 2 minutes to identify the stories with regards to children's or any children's literature that you have seen. So after 2 minutes, I will call your name so you can state your answer. So I guess our 2 minutes is done. So may I call Miss Hesta to state her answer with regards to different children's literature? Is Miss Hesta there?
Yes, Mom.
Okay.
Charlotte's Web. Where are the wild things? What is the answer of this?
So I want you to state any children's literature that you have that you can see from the screen. So I guess you are very familiar with children's literature, children's story, right? So can I have another answer from Mr. Bukalon? Can you state another answer?
Yes, now wait. Pardon, Mom, what's your question?
Can you state from the screen any example of children's literature? Any stories that you can see from that screen?
We need a poo, ma'am, and the very hungry cat, I think.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Miss Hesta and Mr. Bukalon. Now, do you find the activity difficult or easy? Can I have Miss Mahinay?
Both, ma'am.
Okay, both. So, do you think this game or this activity is related to our lesson last meeting? So,
Yes,
okay, so Miss Rejoy, so what do you think is our lesson last meeting since you have already said yes?
about the different kinds of children literature, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So last meeting we have tackled about the different children's literature. So can I have Mr. Urqueza? Is Mr. Urqueza there? What do we mean by children's literature?
Children's literature are material written and produced for children and young adults.
Okay, correct. So thank you very much, everyone. So children's literature, these are written and produced materials made to entertain and educate young adults or children, including the adults. So those adults who find children's literature very fun or as a hobby. Now, how about Mr. Ilmer have already said earlier the examples of children's literature. So, thank you everyone. So, I believe you have learned a lot from last meeting, and that is because of your intelligence and efforts to participate in class. Now, let's move forward to our main lesson. But I have a question. So, this is very easy, and I know everyone can answer this. So, my question is, what do you feel when you read a book? Can I have Mr. Urqueza?
It depends on the genre, mom. We could be happy, sad, or angry.
Okay, so it depends on each and in a genre, of course, because there are certain literature or there are certain books that contain sad scenes, happy scenes, or end games, happy endings, just like that. So, take for example, you are or we are reading a cookbook or types of food na there are recipes, watering recipes. So do you feel hungry by just reading the description of the food? Can I have Miss Hesta?
Yes, mom.
Okay, so how about imagination, Miss Mahinay? If while you are reading a book, do you imagine the characters, the fictional characters, or the situation from that book?
Yes, mom.
Okay, so how about Mr. Elimer? I know Mr. Elimer is fond of reading books. I know he likes books. How about you, Mr. Elimer?
What, mom? Choppy, mom.
So my question is for Mr. Elimer. When you read a book, di ba you are fond of reading books, Wattpads, just like that. So, do you imagine the situation or the description or even the fictional characters on that book?
Yes, mom.
Okay, so you really have a wide imagination and understanding. So let's move forward. Let's learn to find it out in our topic today. So what we are going to start learning another lesson class, but before we could jump up to that lesson, let us first widen our vocabulary with the words that will be used in our discussion today. So we will do it individually and orally. So you will be given these scrambled letters, as you can see, with its corresponding meaning, and then when I after a minute I will call your name to state your answer. So please, you may proceed. Okay, so I guess our minute is done. Um, May I call Mr. Orqueza to read number 1 and to state his answer?
The faculty or power of seeing, sight.
Okay, so the answer for number 1 is sight, the faculty of power of seeing. Thank you, Mr. Urqueza. Now for number 2, may I call Miss Hesta to read and state her answer?
Vibration that travel through the air or another medium and can be heard when they reach a person or animal's ear. So my answer is sound, Mom.
Okay, sound. So, correct. So for number 3, may I call Miss Mahinay to read and answer? Is Miss Mahinay there?
Number
Okay.
3. Wait, Mom.
Okay.
Number 3. The sensation of flavor perceived in the mouth and throat on contact with a substance. My answer is taste, Mom.
Okay, correct. So number 3 is stay. So how about number 4? May I call Mr. Bucalon?
Number 4, come into or be in contact with. Touch, ma'am.
Okay, correct. So number 5, again, Mr. Urqueza.
The faculty or power of perceiving odors or scents by means of the organs in the nose. Smell, ma'am.
Okay, correct. So thank you, everyone. So do you find these terminologies very easy or difficult? Can I have someone?
Easy, ma'am.
Okay, so
Easy, Mom.
okay, thank you. So how about Mr. Bucalon? Is it easy or difficult?
Easy, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So now before we go on, let's first read our objectives. So can I have the objective? So again, let's proceed to wait. Okay, let's proceed to I will read the objectives na lang. So our objectives is identify the different types of sensory images in A statements, and then explain the importance of sensory images, appreciate the applications of sensory images in children's literature, and lastly, explain the importance of children's literature. Now, to start our lesson, I have prepared a highlighted paragraph from one of the famous children's literature. This is entitled Charlotte's Web. So please read. Okay, Elemer. So can I have Miss Hesta to read the paragraph?
Okay, Mom. The barn was very large. It was very old. It smelled of hay and it smelled of manure. It smelled out of perspiration of tired horses and the wonderful sweet breath of patient cows. It often had a sort of peaceful smell as though nothing but could happen ever again in the world. It smelled of grain and harness dressing and the axle grease and of rubber boots and of new rope. And whenever the cat was given a fish head to eat, the barn would smell of fish. But mostly it smelled of hay, for there was always hay and the great lump of overhead. And there was always hay being pitched down to the cows and the horses and the sheep.
Okay, thank you.
Done, Mom.
Okay, thank you, Miss Rejoy, for the British accent of yours. So, okay. Okay, so let's go back. So we have Miss Daniela. So let's go back. Miss Rejoy have read the paragraph about the Charlotte's Web literature. So can I ask Miss Rejoy, from what have you observed since you were reading the paragraph? Does this paragraph describing or something? Can Miss Rejoy? I think Miss Rejoy can't be.
I
Okay.
observed, Mom, that it describes something or it is a description.
Okay, so description. So, oh. Mr. J, can you turn off your audio, please? Oh, thank you. So, the paragraph, as you can see here, excuse me, Mr. Joy, can you turn off your
Mom?
audio? So the paragraph here is a form of description. So this is an
Yes, Mom.
example of presenting sensory images in literature.
Mom, your voice is good.
Can you turn off your audio, Miss Rejoy? Audio.
You are choppy, Mom.
Choppy. Okay, so am I still choppy? Arajin?
No, Mom.
Okay,
No,
so I
Mom.
guess my problem with Rejoy. So, may I ask Miss Arajin na lang? Oh no, what have you observed in the paragraph? Just like what Miss Rejoy said.
It's all about literature, Mom. I think.
Okay, literature. So, correct. So, the Charlotte's Web is a form as a children's literature by A.B. White. So, this paragraph is a form of description. So, it is an example of presenting sensory images in literature. So, this excerpt highlights the masterful use of olfactory imagery. So, this transporting these readers to the inside of the barn while conveying while conveying the unique and ever-changing smell. So the author's masterful description of smells paired with the use of visual imagery depicting barn life and activities that combines to create a sense that this place is home, a safe haven for the outside world. Now to further understand our main lesson, let's proceed to the types and uses of sensory images. Please give me a minute. Okay. So, what do we mean by types of imagery or the sensory images and language in literature? So, imagery is when an author uses words to create a picture in the reader's heads. Authors use what is known as sensory language to support images or help create pictures. So we have five kinds of senses here. So can someone, I call Miss Corios to enumerate these five types of senses or the types of sensory images? Miss Corios?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. So the five kinds of senses are the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of sight, and hearing.
Okay, correct, Miss Daniela. So, the five senses are touch or tactile, smell or olfactory, taste or gustatory, sight, also known as visual, and hearing, also known as auditory. So, do you understand it, class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So, for us to understand these types of sensory images or types of kinds of senses, let's proceed to example. So, okay, so we only have three students. So, may I call Miss Curious to read number one and state her answer. What do you think is the sensory images used in this?
Number 1. The salty sauce tickled Isaiah's tongue as it bit into the noodles. Gustatory.
Okay, so gustatory, correct. So, how it be? Why do you think, Miss Daniela, it became gustatory?
It became gustatory, mom, because there's a sense of taste with there's a salty, which is an adjective for describing something that is salt, of course. Then there is involvement of tongue. Then there is also a bite and noodle. So those four are part of when you taste. It's part of tasting or sense of tasting.
Okay, thank you, Miss.
That's all.
Okay, thank you, Miss Daniela. So you are actually correct. So, but in simple explanation, the sentence, the example number one, it became gustatory because it applies the sense of taste as what you have said earlier. So it is very obvious naman sa in our sentence, right? The salty sauce, the isaksang, the noodles. Now for example number two, may I call Miss Arajin? Miss Mahinay? Okay.
The concert was so loud that her ears rang for days afterwards.
Okay, so what do you think is your answer?
Hearing, mom.
Okay, correct. So the answer for example number two is hearing. So why do you think it became hearing, Arajin?
Because he uses her ears, mom.
Okay, kind of. So very good. So it became hearing because it possesses a sense of hearing or the auditory. So as you can see from the sentence, we have it describes the loudness of the concert. So it's concert so loud and hear ears. Now for example number three, can I have Miss? Is Mr. Bocalon still here?
Yes.
Mr. Bocalon, are you still here? I guess Mr. Bukalon is having some trouble. So may I call Mr. Urqueza to read number three?
After eating the curry, his breath reeked of garlic.
Okay, so what do you think is the answer for number three, Mr. Urqueza?
Olfactory, mom, referring to the sense of smell.
Okay, so very good. So the answer for number three is olfactory, or relating to the sense of smell. So as you can already see the sentence. It is very obvious, right? Now number four, can I have Miss Hesta? I think Miss Hesta is back after having some trouble with internet connection. So can I have Miss Hesta to read number four?
Okay, for number 4, the sunset was the most gorgeous they ever seen. The clouds were edged with pink and gold. So I think the answer, ma'am, is visual,
Okay.
or also called as eyesight or vision. And it,
Okay, so why do you think, Miss Hesta, the answer is visual? Why do you think visual man siya? Miss Hesta?
because it is having sight, because the words are explaining about having sight means to be able to see.
Okay, very good. So that's correct. So number 4, or on the other hand, number 4, um, and the answer for number 4 is visual, because it describes what a let's say it describes what a person have seen. So example, I have seen the sunset. So I will describe the sunset as the most gorgeous that I have ever seen, and the clouds with a color pink and the combination of gold. So number 5, can I have Miss Mahinay to read an answer? Miss Mahinay?
Number 5, the tree bark was rough against her skin. My answer is tactile, ma'am.
Okay, so tactile. So as you can see, let me explain this. So this the answer for this is tactile, because it was already obvious here how it explained the tree barks was rough. So how, where we can apply the roughness of the tree against our skin? So diba, we should apply it sa tactile. We cannot apply it sa hearing, sa auditory, sa gustatory, sa olfactory. We cannot apply this. So it is only applicable on tactile. So can you give me a minute? Okay. Okay, so let's go back. So I guess we are done from this activity, right? So these are actually the answers. Since I cannot slide this to PowerPoint, so I have to separate the answer. So this one, we have gustatory earlier, concerned with tasting or the sense of taste. The auditory, relating to the sense of hearing. Olfactory, relating to the sense of smell. The visual, or also called as eyesight or vision. Senses, having sight means to be able to see. And then we have the tactile, so the touchable or sense by the touch. Now, this example came from the 5 types of sensory images. So earlier here, diba? So Miss Daniela have already mentioned these types of kinds of senses or types of imagery. So now let's relate. For our example number 2, we have already made an example of the different kinds of sensory images applied to these sentences or these statements. So why not let's relate this to children's literature, since our target today is children's literature. So as you can see here, these are example coming from children's literature entitled Charlotte's Web. So let us have another example from this children's literature, Charlotte's Web. So the story of Charlotte's Web is actually about a spider named Charlotte and the pig named Wilbur, about their friendship. So this children's literature, or this form of literature, I've chosen this one because it has full of sensory images that we can utilize with. So example number 1, can I have Miss Curios to read example number 1 and state her answer? What do you think is the sensory images used here, Miss Curios?
Yes, ma'am, in Charlotte's Web. Wait,
Yes.
okay. Number 1 is a tiny spider crawled from the sack. It was no bigger than a grain of sand, no bigger than the head of a pin. Its body was gray with a black stripe underneath. Its legs were gray and tan. The sensory, I mean the sensory image in this is the sight or visual.
Okay, so the sensory image used in example number 1 is in this paragraph is sight or visual. Why it became sight or visual? It is because um, it describes a tiny spider. So it describes the background, the physical appearance, or these. It is also it also describes the surrounding of that character, including his or her appearance. So the answer for number 1 is sight or visual. So now for number 2, can I have Miss Miss Hesta to read number 2 and answer?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. It smelled of hay and it smelled of manure. It smelled of the perspiration of tired horses and the wonderful sweet breath of patient cows. It smelled of grain and of harness dressing and the axles grease of the rubber boots and of the new roof. I think the answer, mom, is smell or factory.
Okay, so correct. The answer for number 2 is smell or olfactory. So Miss Hesta, why do you think the answer is smell or olfactory? Why is it the answer? Or is it our answer?
Because the words in the sentences is all about smelling. Smelled of hay and it smelled of manure.
Okay, so it is very obvious naman in the paragraph, right? So from here we can actually see here it smelled of hay and it smelled of manure. So this is very obvious. Of there is also smelled here. The word smell. Now for number 3, can I have Miss Mahinay? Is Miss Mahinay still around? So I guess Miss Mahinay can't is having trouble. So can we go back with Miss Corios for number 3?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Number 3. The streams and ditches bubbled and chattered with rushing water. Hearing or auditory?
Okay, so why do you think the answer is hearing or auditory, Miss Corios?
Because, ma'am, of the because because, ma'am, of the rushing water
Okay.
or bubbled shattered.
Okay, correct. So the answer for number 3 is hearing or auditory. So we can actually see how obvious it is that streams and ditches bubbles and chattered with rushing water. So when we are going to identify sensory images, we have to observe and we have to we have to comprehend the or there's another let's say observe every word that is utilized here. So just like this we can just like in example number 3. So it is not, I don't know if it is very obvious to some of you, but it is actually obvious to me about the answer. So from the word rushing water, but some cannot And just answer correctly this one because the words are not very obvious to them. But just like what I have said, we have to observe every word that is utilized here or indicated here para we can identify what kind of sensory image used. So please so I think we are on number 4, right? Wait up. So for number 4, can I have Mr. Orqueza to read and answer? Is Mr. Orqueza still there? So I guess Mr. Orqueza can is having trouble. So may I call Mr. Orbistondo to read and answer number 4? Mr. Orbistondo.
Okay, ma'am. Life in the barn was very good, night and day. Right? Winter and summer, spring and fall, dull days and bright days. It was the best place to be, thought Wilbur. This warm, delicious cellar with the garrulous geese, the changing seasons, the heat of the sun, the passage of swallows, the nearness of rats, the sameness of sheep, the love of spiders, the smell of manure, and the glory of everything.
Okay, so from number 4, what do you think? Do you have any idea of the answer, Mr. Orbistondo?
I think for number 4, ma'am, the answer is visual.
Okay, visual. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Orbistondo. So our number 4 is visual. So in simple explanation, the answer is visual because it describes the life in a barn. Example, it describes. Oh, sorry. Sorry, so it describes the life in a barn was very good. See, right? Right, night and day, winter and summer, spring and fall, dull days and bright days. So if we could move forward to the paragraph, it actually describes the life. So can you give me a second because I think someone's joining. Okay, Miss Vasquez have joined us today. Wait up. Okay, so I think we're on number 5 already. So let me just read number 5 because it was actually cropped. So number 5 is we have sure I do, said Lurvy. I've always noticed that pig. He's quite a pig. He's long and he's smooth, said Zuckerman. That's right, agreed Lurvy. He's as smooth as they come, so he's some pig. So as a shortcut, the answer for number 5 is tactile. So it became tactile because okay, it is obvious here. He's long, he's smooth, from smoothness. So where can we apply the smoothness, 'di ba, in tactile because how can we tell somebody or a thing that is very smooth without touching it? So the answer for number 5 is tactile. Now let's move forward to our so these are the answer from our activity. We have number one, sight or visual. The second paragraph, smell or olfactory. The third paragraph, hearing or auditory. And the fourth paragraph, we have visual. And the fifth paragraph, we have tactile. Now, okay, so let's have an application to test our understanding with regards to what we have learned today or with regards to our topic. So can I have Miss Curios to read paragraph number one? Oh, anyway, this paragraph came from the different kinds of literature found on internet. So can I have Miss Curios to read number one and state her answer?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Wait. Number one. 100 years of 100 years of solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. My little horse must think it is queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year, he leaves his harness bells and shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. So the answer of my answer for that, ma'am, is sound.
Okay, correct. So the answer for paragraph number one is sound because um, it describes it is very obvious right here. The bells, the sound, so the easy wind and downy flake. So it is very obvious actually in paragraph number one that the answer is sound. Now, for example, number two, can I call Miss Hesta to read and state her answer?
Yes, ma'am. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Outside, even through the shop window pane, the world looked cold. Down in the street, little eddies of wind were whirling dust and torn paper into spirals. And though the sun was shining, in the sky a harsh blue, there seems to be no color in anything except the posters that were plastered everywhere. The black mustard faced a gaze from the every commanding corner. There was one on the house front immediately opposite. Big brother is watching you, the caption said, while the dark eyes looked deep into the Winston own. Down at the street level, another poster torn at one corner flapped fitfully in the wind, alternately uncovering single word insult. In the far distance, an helicopter skimmed down between the roofs and hovered for an instant like a blue bottle darted away against with a curving flight.
Okay, so
I think the answer is
okay. So what's the answer, Miss Hesta?
right, mom.
Pardon? Sight? Okay.
Yes, mom.
Okay, so correct. So the answer for number two is sight. So, why do you think the answer is sight, Miss Hesta? Can you give me a short answer?
Because on the first paragraph, the word said, even through the shop window pane, the world looked cold. So, he used the sense of seeing rather.
Okay, so thank you, Miss Hesta. You're actually correct on that. So, example number two, the answer is sight or visual because, in simple explanation, it describes the surrounding. So the person is describing what he she have seen on the particular surrounding or um, that scenario. Now let's move forward to another example. Can I have mm, uh, Mr. Orbistondo to read and state his answer for number three? Mr. Orbistondo.
Okay, ma'am. Number three, which a
Yes.
splendid garden could be seen, which was full of the most beautiful flowers and herbs from Rapunzel. I think
Okay.
I think the answer for number three is sight.
Okay. Correct. So the um answer for number three is sight. So it describes the splendid garden, the most beautiful flowers and herbs. So it's very obvious already. So thank you, Mr. Obistondo. Now moving forward to our example, last example. I think this was the last one. Yes, last example number four. Can I have Miss Blasquez to read and state her answer for example number four?
Yes, ma'am. Charlotte Webb's
Yes.
in the hard packed dirt in the midway after the glaring lights are out and the people have gone to bed, you will find a veritable treasure of popcorn fragments, frozen custard dribblings, candied apples abandoned by tired children, sugar fluff, crystals, salted almonds, popsicles, partially ground ice cream, cones, and wooden sticks of lollipops. My answer for this is visual.
Okay, so correct. The answer for number four again, similar to number three, is visual because it describes what that person have seen. But of course, in yes, visual. So as you can see, if the glaring lights are out and the people have gone to bed, you will find a veritable treasure of popcorn fragments. So the person is describing what he she have seen. He she have this is describing the surrounding. But in number four, it could also be smell. So we could also have two answers. We could have smell. So here, as you can see here, sugar fluff, crystal salted almonds, popsicles, partially non ice cream cones, and wooden sticks of lollipop. So in Charlotte's Web, it could be visual since it is describing the surrounding, what that person have seen, and it could also be the smell. Now, this let's move forward na lang to our evaluation. So we have our evaluation here. So okay, summarization pala. So let us summarize what we have learned and what we have discussed today. So to sum up, what have we discussed all about today? So may I call Miss Hesta? Is Miss Hesta still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. May I ask what have we discussed all about today?
We discussed all about the types of sensory imagery in children's literature, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So now talking about our topic, since we have already mentioned the sensory imagery of in children's literature, the types and uses of it. So how essential for you is sensory images? Can I call Miss Curios?
Mom, how important is the sensory images?
Yes, Miss
What was the
Curios.
question, ma'am?
How important?
For me, mom,
Okay, see, you may proceed.
the importance of what, mom?
The importance or how essential for you is sensory images, especially in literature.
Okay. So for me, the importance of sensory images, especially in literature, is that the our senses, like for example, what was it portray? If it the taste, if it is the smell, it would give us a visual. For example, in when he would describe the taste when it is salt, then we would have an idea what was what was the story portray, what it automatically give us an idea what was the literature is saying to us. So it would give us, especially mom, the idea of sensory, that in visual. So when someone in the author, when he or she is describing something that is beautiful, that is a picture king, so for us as a reader, we would imagine what kind of place is the author is giving to us or is wanting for us to see as well. So sensory images give us a sense of idea in the literature, and that would channel to us while we were reading it. So it would connect our sense.
Okay,
That's
so
all, ma'am.
okay, so thank you, Miss Curious. Indeed, the imagination description. So that's the purpose why the author have applied sensory images in a particular literature, especially in children's literature, diba? So this will help. This will actually help children to better understand or imagine or visualize that particular story, and of course sensory images is essential because it helps create mood, understand the fictive world. Details of imagery often can be read symbolically, and when we're going to analyze literature, it is important to consider the imagery used so as to understand both the mood and the symbolism in the piece. So, just like what I've said earlier, the especially in Charlotte's Web, our example earlier, the author he uses a lot of sensory images because it is it is a genre of children's literature. So that author, A.B. White, he wanted children to understand and imagine what have been described or written in that kind of story. So when we are going to write a book, a short story, or any kind of story, any kind of genre, of course we have to apply sensory images, even few of it. So we have to apply it for us to effectively let readers understood what is written or what have we've been describing to that. So do you understand our lesson today, class? Can I have a yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, mom.
Okay, so thank you everyone. So before we separate ways, before we end our online discussion today, I have here an assignment, essay type. So number one, we have find any children's literature and identify the paragraph with sensory imagery applied. You have to indicate the title, the author, the summary of the story, and purpose of the literature. Of course, the sensory images you also have to identify. Then number two, choose one type of sensory imagery and create a one paragraph applying it. So we have actually another activity, but it is an assignment, so I will send it in our group chat. So that's it for our uh lesson for today class or our online class for today. So thank you everyone for your support and participation in this lesson. So again, I'm Julian Kanashiro, your teacher or your demonstrator for today. Thank you so much. We may now leave this class.
Okay, mom.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.